That's a great question.
Now, I can't even really hear most of what you're saying.
Right, I had a feeling you were kind of...
Because I'm a little salty.
I just... talking to, like, middle schoolers or high schoolers or college students, I'll tell them, like, if your why is not strong enough, then the work won't be valuable enough. Okay.
That which is true of your spiritual life as well. Nobody can hand you that. You're either going to eat right spiritually. You're either going to walk by the Spirit so you can work out and build spiritual muscles. You're going to trust God, or you're not. But trust makes patience possible. And I think, you know, he got them out of Egypt, but the wilderness was about getting Egypt out of them.
I think I just ate entirely too much food.
We did eat too much food. Dad cooked. You should probably tell everybody what the situation is when Dad cooks.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's Mother's Day, and so we just got back.
Can we just pause?
Yeah.
We're filming on Mother's Day.
See, we got to do what we got to do. It's the problem is that
we?
Me and you, we got to do what we got to do.
You are making me work. Work on Mother's Day.
Is this work? We're just filming what we already do anyway.
But what if my idea of Mother's Day was like getting in the bed and just like watching Netflix?
That was mine too.
Okay.
The only problem with that that if we don't do it today,
that's true.
It's just not going to happen.
That's true. You're a very productive young man.
Talking about where's the next episode?
Right.
What are y'all doing?
Understood.
And all the things.
Understood.
All the things. So that's the problem. But anyway, so Mother's Day, and we got back from church, and Dad spent the last 2 days in the kitchen making just about every single food item you can think of. It was like Thanksgiving, but just on a Mother's Day.
Yes, and the thing is, your father can cook.
Oh.
For real. These boys' dad, it's like you know how there are cooks that can cook because they have a recipe.
Right.
Then there are cooks that can cook. They need no recipe. It's just in their hands.
Yeah.
Mostly it's somebody's big mama that can do that.
Yeah.
But in this case, it is your father.
Oh, he's got it.
Oh, like my gosh. That man could have a restaurant.
Oh, my gosh. Seriously. And so it was.
I'm grateful for it.
Sweet barbecue ribs, fried chicken, sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows, the Brussels sprouts with the bacon and the jam and the things, and then lobster mac and cheese. And it was a lot.
Yeah, it was great. So we ate a lot. We're satisfied.
Satisfied is not the word. I don't think that's the right word.
Did you eat too much?
I think that's a sin. How much I ate. I think it's gluttonous. Like I think that's what that is. I think that's what happened.
Okay, it's okay. All right. Do we need to start with our song?
Yep. Let's start it. It's been a little minute. It's the haze, right? We gotta.
That's right.
Okay,
ready?
Okay. Yep.
Hey, 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 hey. Okay. Welcome to the Full-Fledged podcast, the Homie
podcast.
The
Thank you guys for tuning in. And you guys tuning in. So what's the situation? And we have the onesies, of course.
Of course, that's what we do is wear pajamas.
That's what we do. That's normal.
Yes, absolutely. Normal. We are talking today, now that we're getting it together. Sorry, y'all.
My fault.
Yeah,
my fault.
We're getting it together. We are talking about waiting on God, and I think
waiting
is hard. Oh. I think before we talk about the bigger concept of waiting on God, that we should just talk about waiting, period.
Okay.
Like just waiting. Why is it so hard? I even had a conversation with somebody recently as Mother's Day was approaching, and I had a conversation with somebody about how I don't want to say, this sounds like an old person. We were talking about how
you don't have to try to do that.
What?
No.
Do you think I'm old?
A little bit.
You mean in numerically? Age?
I just think like the amount of times you say, this is going to sound old.
Yeah.
Or like, it's just like, well, at some point it's got to be, but anyways.
We were discussing the fact about how we think it is harder for people in your generation to wait.
Yep.
It's hard for humanity in general, but y'all have just lived your entire lives in an instant gratification society.
I agree.
Even with the amount of information that y'all are able to take in, your attention spans are shorter because, back in the day when I was growing up, you sat through all the services, you read the whole thing. You did, but you guys have bite-sized pieces for everything.
Yes. Well, I mean, you hit it on the head. I mean, basically, I think our generation is very, like I said, like you said, instant gratification type of culture. Like you go on your phone, you look at a video, you don't like the video, you just go to the next one, you swipe it. You know what I'm saying? All the social media things that come with instant gratification. And I think also a bigger layer of social media, the influence that it's had on the waiting process is we see other people way easier than anybody, like than any other generation.
So you see them enjoying the thing. Well,
right.
enjoying you
the
don't
thing,
know.
Right. We have zero clue if they're actually enjoying life. We just see it on their Instagram because they portray it as, and we feel like we're missing out. And so we think that we want to create that abstract, for lack of better words, lifestyle. And so that instant gratification mindset is like, okay, I need to get it now because they're having it now, and I must be behind, or that whole situation.
And you are right. If you want to say that I'm old and I lived in the olden days, the reality is because we, and let's be clear, social media, there's nothing bad about it inherently.
I think social media is great.
Yeah, there's many benefits that come to it. There's opportunity for connection and relationship across boundaries that would, in the past have divided. There's opportunity to have broader scope for businesses and ministry and all that. So it's great. But the reality is when we were in high school, in college, there was a separation between parts of our lives. We could compartmentalize it. So when we're in high school, you have all the pressure of comparison, maybe because somebody has on this or whatever, but then you went home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You went home, or you were in a different environment where you weren't seeing those people, or you weren't in that situation where you were constantly reminded of what you didn't have or who is doing what. And now it's just in y'all's hands. So you're constantly looking at it. So the question I have for you is, how have you at 20 years old tempered the human reality that all of us have, that we kind of compare and then we want what they have and we don't want to wait on it? And how do you temper that?
That's a great question. There's two ways that I do it. The first way is probably not so good or as good as the second way. The first way, I just gaslight myself and thinking everything is fake on social media. and so now it's just like I see someone having a good time on the trip, which they probably are having a great time. I'd be like, they're miserable. They hate their life. Why would they? If I was there, I wouldn't post on social media. I'd be having too much fun. Like,
okay,
I would just gaslight myself.
Do you feel like you have to go that far, though? Can you just say, I recognize the reality of life, that in between these snippets that folks put up about their vacation, they didn't put up the part where they were too hot or mosquitoes were biting them or the hotel bed sheets were dirty. They didn't put all that up. Like, can you just temper it with reality, or do you have to make the person be having a terrible time?
See, that's the thing, is like I've learned about myself in the last 4 years that I'm an extremist.
You are.
I'm very radical, either on one side or the other.
Yeah, which is going to be problematic for life.
Yeah,
okay.
It is pretty
problematic.
Go
ahead.
But just stating how it is. And so, I just like to go on the extreme side of everything, or else it's not going to work. Like, if I'm like, they're probably having a good time, I'm like, well, I want to be probably having a good time too. Like, I mean, I can do a couple mosquito bites, little bug bites. The hotel may be hotter, the AC ain't working, I can deal with it as long as I'm on the beach.
But then to me, what this sounds like, and this is your mom just picking on you, but what it sounds like to me then is you would have then, to use your barometer, that means you would have a hard time being happy for other people. If they genuinely are having a good time, it sounds to me like from your description that then you can't actually just settle into the fact that I don't have that yet, or I can't do that yet, or I can't afford that yet, but I can sure celebrate and be happy for you enjoying that. Can you do that?
Yeah. I mean, I can. But
tell the truth and shame the devil.
I'm going to tell the truth. That's very hard for me to do that. I don't know why. I just, like, I mean, I can be happy for you, but at the same time, there's a level of like, all right, well, you're doing that. I want to do that too. You know what I mean? And so it's not like I'm looking at it and I'm envying the person. I don't think it's that deep ever, but it is like that comparison part is, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very.
Well, sometimes seeing other people, whether it's their success or their enjoyment or whatever, that
inspiring.
becomes, yeah, it's inspiring.
For.
So
yeah.
to I think what you said in there is a big piece of the puzzle. It's the envy part.
Right.
It's not that I'm not inspired and man, I'd love to do that one day. It's the envy part. Well, you just said you're not.
Yeah, I don't think I am. I just had to double check.
Yeah, and
I don't think I am, no.
Don't you think it's good to double check?
Sometimes.
Like we all need to go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me see where I'm at here. Am I feeling something that's not
Right. I think sometimes everybody has a feeling, obviously.
Totally, we're
but like
human.
as in the general scope of things,
yes.
like I just don't think I am like that.
Okay. So your first thing you said was that you gaslight your own self
into thinking they're having a terrible time, so that I don't feel left out, and like and so yeah, it goes into the FOMO, but we're not even gonna. That's a separate thing. That's the first way. I started off by saying it's not a great way.
Yeah,
so I said that. So
but that's okay.
I paraphrased. I started with that.
I appreciate your honesty, sir.
So not that, and don't do that one. But the other way is to limit your time on social media,
which you've done. I've seen you do that.
Yeah, like I put limits on my screen, and I push the little button that says like ignore 15 minutes quite often. But for the most part, it gives me a great reminder of like, okay, you've been on social media for an hour today. Go do something else.
Yeah, like live.
Yeah, go.
We're always looking at other people living.
Live yours, because like there's so many great things that you could be doing outside of social media.
Totally.
Like, I mean, like especially older-ish people don't really have as much of a problem. They still do, but not as much as the younger Gen Z generation. But like one of my favorite things I realized to do is go with my friends to go take a walk. And it's great.
I know. I think you just realized, it's just dawned on you how great walking with a friend is recently, right?
Yes. And I could be looking on social media and I could see the beach. I have a feeling what you're going to say. I could go there and like I could see someone on a beach and be like, okay, fine, that's great. And I'm walking and I feel like I'm having a great time too. Like you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you don't get to realize that if you're always on the phone and looking at everybody else. And so limiting the social media time frame has been super prevalent to my journey as far as not comparison.
Now, I can't even really hear most of what you're saying.
Right, I had a feeling you were kind of...
Because I'm a little salty. And you already said you think you already know why you can see the salt. Why don't you go ahead and say why I am a little salty?
Because I never want to go on walks with you, ever.
So let me just say a few things here. Walking is like one of my love languages, correct?
Yeah, nope, it's true.
I walk every day for like an hour. I just love being outside. I love the sounds of nature. I love the exercise. I love the opportunity to pray. I make up reasons to walk. I walk to the grocery store. I walk to Super Target. I walk to the post office. I want to walk as much as possible. When they were younger, we walked. Let's go across the street and go fishing. Walk down the street. We walked. As they got older, I still was asking them to walk with me. And they really don't. So it's not just you. It's your brothers too. Me and your dad walk sometimes, which is great. But none of y'all want to walk. But now I'm sitting here on the podcast in front of company. And you're telling me that you do like to walk, but just with other folk.
No, see, here's the thing. There's a lot of different factors that are in this equation that you're not taking into consideration.
Okay.
I think the first factor is the location. We are in the 103-degree heat of Texas.
That's only for like 3 months in the summer.
I'm only here for 3 months in the summer.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point, because college,
we do have to factor that in.
That's true.
And the other thing is I didn't discover my loving for walking until I was in college, until I couldn't come back until it was 103-degree weather.
So the question then is, now that you know you enjoy walking, like for example, today it's about 78 beautiful, balmy degrees. The sun is shining. It's gorgeous. If I said to you today on this Mother's Day, son, let's go for a walk.
I think it's 100 degrees.
It's not. So basically,
I thought it was.
You're making excuses.
No. As of right now, like this very second, I don't think
there's anything you can actually say to.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Is it me, or is it the surrounding, like where you are walking when you're at university? It feels
like that. Yeah, because we walk, like if we go to New York, which we love going. New York,
you do like walking around like in New York. So it has to do with the environment.
We were in San Diego and we were just walking and it didn't matter.
Okay.
It just something
so it's
about
Texas
here.
Is the problem.
Like I'm not going to walk with anybody in Texas. I don't know if it's just I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Not quite sure.
All right. Well, anyway.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah,
okay. So the point was, we were saying you can watch somebody else walking on social media and just be like, oh, that's so great. Look at that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Or you can decide, I'm going to go walk, which is what you've done recently. You're like, you know what? Let me go live instead of watching other people live all the time and being potentially envious of.
Yes. And it stems back to one of the root things that I've been trying to incorporate in my life, which is the gratitude thing. I think we talked about on the first episode.
We did a while back though, so go ahead, talk about it.
But like gratitude is such a big thing. Even our Liberty basketball program, which is where it kind of got instilled in me, but like taking it into outside of basketball, it's just it's such a nice thing to have.
Gratitude, totally.
I mean, like, you just enjoy life so much more when you're actually grateful for what you have, like a genuine gratefulness.
Yes.
Like, man, I love this thing that I got right here, and it's so great. So
great. Like, if this is the one baseball cap that I have, look at I'm so grateful for the baseball cap, as opposed to, I feel like one of your mentors recently posted something about that, where his son was doing a business or something like that.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, and there was only 6% growth or whatever, and he was so disappointed about the 94%. And his dad was like, "Are you nuts? 6%? But you got to look at the quality of your 6% and be so grateful, because who knows, those within that 6%, there are customers in there that can multiply this for you, that can help you market you because of what the platform they have available to them." But he wasn't noticing any of that because he was just upset about the 94%.
Yep, it goes
that
back.
He didn't have.
It goes back to the saying that I say all the time: is you cannot feel grateful for what you feel entitled to. Like, if you feel entitled to have that 30 or 40% growth, but you only have the 6, now you feel like entitled to that 6. And now you can't feel grateful for what you did have more than, like, you just don't have, because you feel entitled to it.
So say it again. You cannot feel
grateful for what you are. Nope, hold on. You cannot be grateful for what you feel entitled to.
That's right. And that applies, man, across the board. All of life. Because if you just expect it's supposed to be here, then you take it for granted. It's not treasured. It's not. Yeah. So good. Okay. So basically, we're talking about patience, talking about waiting, talking about why it has been really difficult for your generation to be able to do that more naturally. But I want to talk about, and we'll get to waiting on God and how that all bridges to that. But I want to talk to you about work ethic.
Okay.
And here's why: because there are certain successes that we see in each other's life. And when we see it, whether on social media or it's somebody at church or somebody whatever, and you notice their success and you see it, but you don't know the work they had to put into it. So you just want this. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter what they're doing, whether they're basketball players, football players, speakers, entrepreneurs, business people. When you see them at this point, then I think more in your generation, to be honest, I know we're joking about age, but more in your generation than ours, but every generation has struggled with it. But that work ethic, that hard work, lots of hours, stay up at night, doing the parts of the job that you actually don't like, but it doesn't matter because you don't have the money to hire people, but you got to just do the thing. I think that virtue of solid work ethic, which is part of basically the foundation for being able to be patient enough, is that you think that this work is worth it. And I think a lot of people are missing that in every generation.
Right.
Where they don't,
but especially us.
Yeah, the process. They're not okay with the process. They just want the results.
Yes.
So how do you combat when you have a really sturdy work ethic? I'm going to brag on my son for just a second. I do want his insight on this, but I'm going to brag on him. He has such a great work ethic. Anything, even when he was 2 or 3 or 4 years old, that you just decided you was going to do, you were willing to sit there as long as it took to be able to figure that thing out. A lot of times you wanted to figure it out yourself, which means it took you longer. You didn't care. You thought there was value all along the way, and then the success was that much better for you, enjoyable for you, because you'd worked so hard to get it. Same thing with this podcast. Okay, so y'all don't know this, but we're sitting here right now because my son decided he wanted to do a podcast, and figured it out. Like he taught himself, he asked questions of people that do podcasts. He looked up online, how do you do, I don't even know what software you got going on the thing to make the audio match up with the cameras. He's got phones and lights and stands, and he went on Amazon and figured out how to get what he needs. So he's producing the thing, which that work has made you realize you now have an appreciation for people that work on the other side of the camera, the producers, the folks that got to deal with lighting, because it's hard.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this in the first episode.
Yeah. So it's really hard. So my point is, you do have a quality work ethic. I guess my question is, do you think it's just your natural wiring? Have you had to develop that more? Do you realize you are impatient, or that you have a quality work ethic that's kept you from being an impatient person when it comes to achievement?
Yeah. I think actually, so that's like a question that could take a while to answer, but to sum it up, I think that naturally I was kind of always like that, but I think also most people don't know that I also used to be fat. Like, I was
that came out of left field.
No, I know, but
you were not huge. No, it was baby fat, sweetheart.
I was the biggest and the oldest baby ever then, because I was big. I was big, and so I actually was thinking about this the other day.
You should put a picture up so folks can see you when you were.
Yeah, I was big. I was
you
a big
were
kid.
Really squishy, and I loved it. It was so amazing. But then I understand you were still 10, and I was still talking about you precious. Look at that baby fat.
I was 12, and I was like, it was like it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. But I think I think that actually stemmed so the really, really hard work ethic, do it myself thing came because I was the body insecurity thingy. And then I was like, okay, well, I have to work it off to look like everybody else, which has its negatives now. But I think that my work ethic actually stemmed from being bigger and having to wanting to be a nice athlete.
Interesting.
Isn't
you
crazy?
did want to be. Yeah, you did want to be an athlete. So you're saying at some point it registered to you, this body is not going to be able to.
I remember I was 10 and I was reading a book about Kevin Durant, and it said that he was 10 when he started being serious about going to the NBA. And I was like, okay, I'm 10. He was 10. I can start now. I can be like KD. And so then I started working hard, and I was like, yeah, this ain't gonna do it. Big, slow, just can't guard. Just all the things that basketball players because at baseball you can kind of be fat and get away with it. Basketball, you
what?
At that age, at least, you could kind of.
Oh, at that age, okay.
Yeah, because baseball is not as much up and down. No, it's just you hit a ball really hard and you run
when you're
first
10.
base.
I was thinking 10. You were talking about professional players, and I'm like, no.
But there are some bigger professional basketball players. You know what I'm saying? Just basketball is not that sport where you can really do that most of the time.
Right.
And so, so I started working really, really hard to get my body where I wanted it to go. And so I think that developed because no one else can hand you that.
That is correct.
You can't just.
That which is true of your spiritual life as well. Nobody can hand you that. You're either going to eat right spiritually. You're either going to walk by the Spirit so you can work out and build spiritual muscles. You're going to trust God, or you're not. It don't matter what everybody else is around you.
And if you don't, you're going to get spiritually fat.
To keep the illustration going.
to keep it going.
I did not. This is so fascinating.
Yep.
I did not know.
I think that's where it came from.
Your mother gave you that book, though, I think, when you were 10.
I think you did.
About Kevin Durant.
I think you
so
did.
Something that I gave you to read, you actually read, and it actually impacted you?
Yeah, now I walk around the house squishing my stomach every day of my life.
We need to have a whole conversation about that, because on another episode, we'll talk about that, because it's so interesting. Most people think of body image stuff and they think of their daughters, which I totally get the pressure there.
For sure.
I'm a girl. I get it. But it's with sons too, particularly athletic sons, because they're constantly being weighed. Their muscle fat ratio is constantly being determined. You got people basically looking at you, not maybe for the exact same reasons as girls, unless they're athletes as well, but they're looking at you to say your body is not right for this.
You need to run some more. You're a little big right here.
Yeah.
You need to fix that.
And we need to talk about that, because people don't think about that when it comes to boys. But I've watched all my athlete sons struggle with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so work ethic. What do you say to somebody who they don't value the process part that requires hard work? What are they missing out on that the patience will be required to work hard to build this, whatever you're building towards? I mean, what do you think they're missing if they don't value that part?
Well, first of all, let me start off by saying that I think that there are actually people who did not work hard and got the success.
Okay. Yeah, because opportunity. Will Smith said that. You know, did you read Will Smith's book? I gave it to you.
Nope.
Okay. There are many things in that book that, our life doesn't align with. However, his work ethic. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he was talking about his work ethic and how hard he had to work, but how much, in his words, luck was a part of it. That a lot of it was just he was in the right place at the right time. TV was at a moment when it needed a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He happened to be at a party with Quincy Jones and all these other executives, and Quincy Jones was like, audition right now. And he's like at the party, and he's like, yeah, the executives are here for my birthday. You better do it now or it ain't gonna get done.
Right.
And he was there. So he even talked about what you just said, that a lot of it wouldn't have happened if he worked hard.
Yeah.
A lot of it was just.
Yeah. I think the problem that what happened is that nobody knew that about Will Smith until nowadays, because social media, you can tell everybody.
Yeah.
So
you just see the pinnacle.
So you just see the pinnacle during like you can, basically is like Will Smith didn't have the platform to tell everybody it was luck and he didn't really have to work hard.
He didn't say he didn't have to work hard.
But
he was
you
saying
know what
that,
I mean.
in his words, luck, I don't believe in luck.
Right.
But in his words,
it's called
luck had
providence.
a part.
It's
Providence.
sovereignty.
Yeah, just kind of working things out.
Yeah.
So to your point, there are some people. Why did you feel the need to kind of clarify your answer by saying that there are some people who don't work hard?
Yes, because the people who are like, oh, I did this and became successful and didn't have to do much, that whole story is on social media and is pushing that agenda towards other people that they don't have to work hard and they can still have success, and they have these $1,000 courses that are teaching them, and they're just getting scammed, and the other people are becoming millionaires.
Okay, so you're saying the people that actually it just kind of worked out for them real quick, they're now teaching and charging for courses. They're teaching on how to do it, but they didn't do it.
They didn't know.
But how they're making money is by telling other people.
Yes. As there's a lot of that going on. But the bigger principle of that is that the idea that you don't have to work hard and still can become successful, like everybody can do that, is being generalized.
Got it.
On all the platforms.
Okay.
So I think that's a part of why people want that, because they want the success part, but they don't want the work hard part. And now that they know it's possible, because they see someone who actually it happened for them kind of like that.
Okay.
Now it's like, oh yeah, I need to figure out that. And so, but I also think most people, I tell people this all the time, especially like when I'm talking to like middle schoolers or high schoolers or college students. I'll tell them, like, if your why is not strong enough, then the work won't be valuable enough to keep going.
That is so good. If your why is not strong enough, the work won't be worth it to you.
Yeah, it won't be valuable enough to you.
That's true of everything. Everything in life that applies. Okay, so the why.
Yeah, the why. Because if your why is the money, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to start a business, and the reason why you're doing it is to make money, you're not gonna last very long. Now, if the reason why you want money is because you want to provide for a family, now your root is stemmed in something that's bigger than just the money. So that's different. But if you just want to be able to go on Instagram and show a couple dollars and throw it on the gram and all the stuff, then you're just like, because it's hard. Like the reality is that it's actually hard to. I mean, you make money, but whatever it is, like the success part of it and whatever part of it is, but like it's actually hard to do that type of stuff. And so the fact of like that you don't have a strong enough why, you're not going to be able to withstand the hard. It just won't work.
That's great. So what's the hardest thing you've ever had to work towards? Would you say it's the athleticism?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to work towards so far.
Because for all three of you, each of you have had different hard things. And that's been your hard thing. Like people see you now playing D1 basketball, but they have no idea. Like you said, that at 10, you did not have a body that was conducive to being a basketball player.
No.
You didn't jump. You didn't have much, what they call it? Vertical?
Vertical.
Bounce, vertical, whatever. And man, you worked hard. You got one of those machines that you tie the stuff to you and resistance. So you could jump. I mean, whatever you had to do, we would just see you working hard on yourself. So you develop that work ethic there. Yeah.
And it has to sustain, because honestly, my metabolism sucks. So like, I can't.
You got that from your father.
Yeah. Whoever I got it from, Yeah.
You think your metabolism?
I think it's
We need to have a whole nother conversation on body.
I mean,
body and
I
health.
can't, like, it's hilarious. Me and my best friend at school, Zach Cleveland, one of my best friends, Zach Cleveland, it's so funny that he really eats whatever he wants.
And he doesn't.
And will go on the court and dunk on anybody he wants to. And just jumps
you
as
just look
high.
at that like, you got to be kidding me.
And I'll like eat really good. And then I'll come back and I'm like, and the coach is like, how you gain weight? I'm like, I don't know how I gain weight. I don't know. And then Zach will eat whatever he wants, ice cream, all the stuff, come back and he'll be like 3 pounds down, 2 pounds, 3 pounds down. Coach is like, you look great. I'm like, shut up. It's hilarious. And
so that's your thing.
Yeah. And so my thing is just like, I have to really work hard to keep the same, body shape that most people do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So discipline.
And
I think part of the cost of not working hard is that you don't develop discipline. There's character that's built in there. There's resilience that's built in there for when you're disappointed, bouncing back. Like, there's a whole lot of intangible qualities that when you get the stuff quick, you miss the actual framework necessary to keep the stuff you got.
Yes.
Yes.
You wanna know something that I've been talking about to like everywhere that I've spoken in the last like 2 or 3 weeks. I spoke to some middle school banquet here. Middle school's one of the high schoolers, and somewhere else. I spoke to a varsity basketball team and at FCA, which is like a big Christian event.
I'm so proud of you, JC, for real.
Thanks.
Yeah, very proud of you. Sorry, yes.
No, okay, yeah.
Very proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like I was saying.
That you're sharing with other people. And I saw in one photo you were squatting down, talking to the middle schoolers. And I wasn't there for that one, so I just saw it in a picture, and I thought, man, I'm so proud of him. When y'all were that age, when there was a young man at 20 that spent time with y'all like that, that was everything to me when y'all were young. Yeah. So I'm just proud of you for doing that. Absolutely. Okay, so that distracts.
But everything that, like, what I've been telling them is that I start the talk by saying this exactly. I'll be like, if you're driven, the people who are driven by motivation usually quit the fastest. The people who are driven by discipline usually outlast the hard.
Okay. Say it slower, sir.
My bad.
Because we need to get that right there.
I got you.
Okay, say it slow.
The people who are driven by motivation usually quit first. The people who are driven by discipline usually last long or outlast the hard.
So motivation is quality. I mean, it's good. You need motivation for sure, but you're saying that won't take you the long haul.
Nope. Motivation is usually a feeling that you get whenever everything's going right. Usually motivation is like something you get where you can actually see the end goal. The problem,
or when you're at a conference being hyped up,
or at a conference being hyped up,
yeah,
you feel all the energy from all the praise the team and all the stuff. But then actually, like, here's the thing, like, here's the end goal. You see it and you feel motivated because you see it, and then the problem just sits like right here, and like in the problem, it's just right there, and all of a sudden you can't see the end goal, the thing that what you're doing it for anymore. The problem is just there. And so what happens when the problem is here is that your motivation goes away. And so then what now? Like, what happens then? That's the question. And so if you're driven by discipline, this end goal or whatever you're looking for could be here, here, here. That doesn't matter. What matters is that you actually made a decision that I'm going to do the process that gets me to the goal.
And the process always includes problems.
The process always includes problems. And so when you made the internal choice of, hey, let's use basketball, for example. I'm going to work out twice a day, basketball-wise, no matter what. Whenever you have a bad game, whenever you have a bad couple games and like your season isn't going the way you want it to, you made a decision already that you're going to work out twice a day. That had nothing to do with any external factors. And so when people are driven by discipline, they usually outlast the longest because the problems aren't a factor in the equation.
Yeah, that's really good. Very, very good. Yeah. So if we bring all that to the table of our conversation about waiting on God, waiting on God is difficult. But one of the things that I've noticed for my own personal life that I don't mind waiting on him when I remember that I trust him. Like, trust is a factor in impatience when it comes to God. And that trust has been built up over time. We were talking about the process. The process of having walked with God. You called me old, so I'll take that now. So the process of having walked with God I think I got to say when I was 10. So 40 years of walking with God. Of course, that looks different when you're 12 and 13. You're kind of not seeing and understanding the nuances of it. Then you get to 20 something and you're realizing how it's impacting your relationships, how the Holy Spirit's going to have to empower you to restrain yourself then you walk by the Spirit, then you see him come through for you, then you see him call you to do stuff you can't do.
Right. Like,
and he shows up for you, and for literally, I don't journal like every day, but I have a journal where I've kept a record, and you know that I've kept a record of y'all's lives too. I have one for each of you. But the point is, now I have this track record. My trust is built by the track record. Sometimes I will go back and look at something from when I was 28 or 32 or 33 that had to do with small kids, all that. And now it gives me trust that if he did it at 30 and then at 35 and at 40 and at 42, now that I'm 50, the trust is built there. It makes the waiting easier.
Yeah, I need to do that. I'm not going to lie. I've been thinking about doing it. I really don't read my journal back, so it's like
but you will at some point.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
I don't read it back regularly. It's just every now and then when I feel that angst because I'm in the waiting. I'm like, ooh, I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know if he's going to come through in the way that I would prefer. I don't know how this is going to shake down. And sometimes when I feel that, and that might be once a year. That I pull it out. Maybe the next time I'm going to write an entry, I'm going to write something that just happened and I just want to record it. And that's the moment when I just look back and remind myself. Right. But trust makes patience possible. It's like going to a restaurant.
Yep.
Okay. The reason I go to the restaurant is because I believe the restaurant can cook it. And then I believe somebody's going to deliver it. That's the reason you go to a restaurant. You know they can cook the food that you like, and you know that they're going to deliver it. All right. So I don't have to know everything that's going on in the kitchen. I just know they're going to make the food and bring it out. If I didn't trust it, I wouldn't have the patience to sit there waiting on my order to be delivered.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with God. We either trust that he's cooking something in the kitchen, even though we don't see the nuances of how it's all being made, but that at the right time, he's going to bring it out and it's going to satisfy us sometimes in surprising ways. Because in the moment, maybe it doesn't look palatable, it doesn't look like you thought it would, whatever, but then it satisfies you in surprising ways. So
give us a biblical example. Give us a Bible illustration. You got something? Because I got something. But
you go first, because I need a minute. You threw it on me. I need a minute.
I didn't know if you had something.
No, go ahead.
Don't. Okay, cool. Okay. So I was thinking about this. I think I actually told you this. The Israelites, when they were led out by Moses, it was just funny to me because I was in a season of like waiting where it felt like God wasn't doing anything. And then actually I figured out that in those moments it's hardest to trust God because when everything's down and like, circumstances, trials, everything seems to be coming at you, I know God is the sovereign ruler over my life and he has it. So I want to go to him more. I can't do it. I know I can't. So I know he gonna do it. And then when everything is good, you're like, oh God, thanks God for the blessings. Like I know it's you, you're like, you're the one, you're the man, all the stuff. But it's when you don't see anything happening, at least from my life. It's like, so what's going on? Are you still
totally
there?
In the dark.
Are you? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Are you supposed to? Like, am I missing something? Like that's kind of how it feels. And so I realized that that's probably how the Israelites felt whenever Moses left and went to go on the mountain.
Totally.
And they were just sitting there like, so
is he coming back?
Right, is he coming back? Did God leave us? I don't see anything happening. Yeah. And that's when they started worshiping the false idols and all the things. Yep. And so I think that the waiting season, the waiting period, is the hardest period. And now that actually elongated their whole journey in the first place because they weren't able to be patient and trust in the waiting process. And that was, so that was what came to my head when you were kind of in that situation.
And in that same, obviously, what you just picked is sort of the greatest example in the Old Testament of waiting on God, really, because there's like this whole 40 years. Was it 40 years?
It was
yes.
40
years in the wilderness wandering around. But think of that. They got to see God keep their shoes from wearing out. They got to see him not only part Red Seas, but give them water to drink out of rocks and stuff. They got to see him feed them. So all of that was part of the process. It was part of the journey. And I think, he got them out of Egypt, but the wilderness was about getting Egypt out of them.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Say it again.
He got them out of Egypt. The wilderness was about getting Egypt out of them.
Ooh,
they had a slave mindset. That's all they knew was slavery.
You can bring a boy out of the hood, but you can't bring the hood out of a boy. That's what I used to say when I was at Grace Prep. My bad. That's all. That's my bad.
Hood, Grace Prep.
My bad.
Did you see he tried to put anybody that is at Grace Prep or anything prep probably is not.
My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
You just try to be so gangster.
My bad.
Sir.
My bad. My bad.
Anyway, the point is the wilderness, the waiting, that process was necessary for them to at some point value Canaan. They wouldn't.
It would. Ooh.
Or they would enter Canaan and still have the mindset of Egypt.
Come on.
Which in some ways they mishandled Canaan. They mishandled the milk and honey in many ways, actually. But the 40-year process, that patience, the Lord was working things in them to get them to come to trust him, to believe in him, to stick with him as he was sticking with them. So I hate that people aren't journeying. In our spiritual lives, let's talk about that really quickly before we close. So in our spiritual lives, we want to also achieve a depth of relationship with the Lord, but we don't want to put in the work of the spiritual disciplines required for that.
Yeah. Yep.
So, that's the same thing like working out your physical body, like you just described. But the spiritual disciplines of prayer, the silence required to hear God's voice, fasting, meaning not just food, but fasting, anything that you realize has a kind of a strong hold on you. It's more of a master of you than it should be. Your flesh can't say no to a thing. These sort of spiritual disciplines have not changed through the millennia. They're the same spiritual disciplines that build faith muscles. But by and large, Gen Z isn't hearing about holiness, fasting, prayer, Bible reading. They're not hearing that ongoingly. So what do you say about that? How do we become okay with the process and the patience required to be in God's presence?
Well, I think that when you realize there's actually no real shortcuts to true, I'm going to say success. When I say, I'm going to clarify the definition of the success that I'm talking about right now, which I came from Myron Golden. His definition of success is great. It's preparing, in the shortened version, is preparing yourself for what God has for you and then deploying yourself in that purpose. And so if you want true success, there's no shortcut to get to that. Like, God needs to bring you through the things in order for you to get the thing that he's preparing you for, so you can deploy yourself in it. But the only way you can be prepared is through a journey that you're probably not going to like. And so when you realize that, if that's, because there's shortcuts to money in some ways, like it can just happen. But if that's your, if you really want the true success, the true freedom, the true things, then it's actually a process of preparation that you're going to have to go through. Yeah. And so for all my Gen Zers out there, I think we have to take less time on the social media, instant gratification, and then actually more time in the Bible, because they actually contradict each other in that way. The Bible,
one takes time.
Yeah, the Bible
investment
clearly talks about time investment, like you just said. Clearly talks about preparation.
Meditating,
clearly talks about meditating. Talks about trials. Talks about circumstances. All in the ways that are actually formed as good, when social media takes it and portrays it as bad. And so I think that if we spend less time there and more time there, our mind frames will start to be shifted onto what actual holiness and success looks like, other than what the world says it is.
That's great, C's.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I appreciate your insight on that. I think this is an important conversation that we just had, because I just think patience is something that humanity struggles with.
Yeah.
Old, young, male, female.
Yeah.
We just want things quickly. But I do think that the generation we're living in now, where we can just get stuff quick. I mean, Amazon delivers. You don't even have to wait till the next day anymore.
Prime.
We love it here.
I got it too.
You have Prime? How you have Prime? You on my account?
I think so. I think so.
Wow. The point is, everything shows up immediately. But that's not the way spiritual life works. And so we have to back ourselves out of the expectation that everything can be quick. And whether we're talking about business, building business or whatever, or whether we're talking about spending time with the Lord, there are some things that require patience and process.
Right.
And that is necessary to sustain where you're going.
That is necessary. Yeah. Like, have to.
Have to.
Non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Way to go.
That was a good conversation. We're glad y'all joined us.
We're so glad we're I don't know what I was going to say, actually. I'm not going to lie. I was just talking.
We're hoping it blessed you. How about that?
We're hoping that it blessed you.
Yeah, that right there.
All right, y'all. Yeah. That was good.
Yeah, there you go.
I like that one.
Now we should do body image.
Yeah, we'll be.
Clearly.
Yeah. If anything shut off, I'm just throwing everything away. One camera, good. 2 cameras, good.
Okay, that would be enough. We would just take 2 cameras.